can you give us an overview on how childcare policy has adapted and changed over the years here in the UK?
Children have always been looked after by other people than their parents. Back in the 19th century, 18th century, we had things like wet nurses and all sorts of arrangements like that. For most of the 20th century, the idea was that mothers would stay at home and look after the children. Indeed, the trade union demand for a family wage was based on that idea. During the Second World War, however, there was a period when the government organised nurseries for women who are engaged particularly in the munitions industry. But by and large, the growth of formal childcare in Britain was done in the private sector, and it wasn't until the 1990s that this began to change.
Can you tell us how our regulations are comparable to the rest of Europe?
We are over-regulated in relation to staffing requirements, to qualifications of people working in childcare, and above all to the early years foundation stage, which is a kind of national curriculum for tiny tots.
So how do these regulations impact on the cost of childcare in the UK?
The cost of childcare in the UK is very high, both to the public purse, the taxpayer, and to private individuals. We spend just over £7 billion a year on state-supported childcare, and this is slated to rise over the next few years. But we are also extremely costly for parents, many of whom do not get access to state-funded childcare, but have to pay out their own pockets at exceptionally high rates.
Public financing of childcare is certainly a subsidy, but it might be subsidizing the wrong group. Are the funds going to the families who need it most?
The funds for childcare are not particularly well directed. Many middle-class parents on high incomes get free childcare from the state when they could well afford to pay for it themselves, while at the same time parents who raise their own children or have family members looking after them get no support whatsoever. And particularly, I think, some ethnic minority groups are penalised by this. We know, for instance, that people of Bangladeshi and Pakistani heritage are only about half as likely to use formal childcare as people from the white population.
So is it the case that some of these disadvantaged groups are actually subsidising some groups that are better off?
As taxpayers, they almost certainly are, yes.
Are our objectives for publicly funded childcare a bit confused?
I think they are. I think we're trying to do too many different things. We're trying to raise the quality of childcare for all parents. That's one objective. Another is, however, to offset the disadvantage of particular groups in the population whose children don't do very well in formal education. We also want to reduce the cost of childcare. Now, you can't do all these three things at once with the same policy, and I think we need to have a really serious rethink about what exactly it is we want to get out of state-funded childcare. In my view, it should be rather less than we're currently trying to do.
How would you propose that we reform childcare, particularly with the aim of bringing costs down for families?
I think we need to seriously deregulate childcare, and we ought to make it more accessible for people to join the profession. We have hugely reduced the number of private childminders. It's been halved in the last 20 years as a result of government policy. They are a relatively cheap option. What we've gone for is a very formal system of childcare, which is extremely expensive, and we should row away from that.
Download our latest report, Getting the State Out of Preschool and Childcare, by visiting the IEA's website at iea.org.uk.